Hello everybody, I'm DerTebbers. Welcome to your first impression of Farm Sim 17. Okay, my first impression, I've played 5 hours of the game to make sure that I didn't miss anything really obvious. I didn't. I found one annoying bug and several small little things that bother the crap out of me, but let's talk about Farm Sim 17. We're going to be comparing this against Farm Sim 13 and 15. Those are the two other farming simulator games I actually have. I've talked at length with Fadman, who played 2011? Yeah, 2011, and Stocko as well. So I know some about those older games, not as much. I'm going to focus on 13, 15, 17, and a little bit on 11. So first, let's start with the really obvious. Is it better? Yes, it is better than Farm Sim 15 at release. Farm Sim 15 at release was a buggy, unmitigated disaster area. 17 is better. I will say that much. Let's talk about the good, the bad, and the disappearing. So let's start with options. I love what they've done with the options. The amount of options they have added to the game is amazing. Not only do you get the normal things, such as this, you also have the advanced graphical settings. Look at the advanced graphical settings, the amount of information. If your computer isn't powerful enough, you reduce the load distance. That's the LOD. You can change your mesh tessellation volumes. You can change your draw distances. You can change your load distance, your tire tracks. You can change the number of mirrors, your max shadow lights. All of this is all customizable so that if you don't have the hardware that I have, then you're going to be fine. You're going to get a game that you can play. Now, let's talk really quickly about the rig that I'm running so that you can benchmark against what my rig is. The biggest thing is really the graphics. Okay, I have a 2-year-old chip in here. It's a i7 something, overclocked and water cooled. Now, what I have in graphics is 2 NVIDIA GTX 780s in SLI. So I have a lot of graphical horsepower here. I've got plenty of processor. I have 64 gigs of RAM. So my machine is very beefy. I can run this at all these high, and I can even go higher. I just stopped messing with it. But with all of this settings, I run 60 frames per second steady, even with fraps running, which usually causes about a 20 frame per second hit. Fraps runs, I don't get that hit. That tells me this game is very well optimized for the machines. All right, so that is advanced graphical settings. We have all of our controls, of course, and even more controls. So I like this. We have lots of information, lots of things you can change. All right, let's talk about the next big thing in my mind, which is mods. Remember, Farm Sim 17 is a cross-platform release. PC, PS4, Xbox One. I'm biased. I'd say don't buy the Xbox One and PS4 version unless that's all you've got. But they've integrated mods into Farm Sim 17 in a new way, and probably in many cases, I'd say a better way, but it's lacking in a few areas. So when I click on mods, this links into Farming Simulator, the farming-simulator.com, their mod hub. Okay, so it links into Giant's mod hub, and you can get access to all of the various mods. So if I want to look in tractors, I click in there and you'll see I have some mods installed. If I go into something like packages, you'll see that there's a bunch of mods. Now, stuff like the IT Runner Pack. This was a Farm Sim 15 buyable DLC that you now get for free here in Farm Sim 17. Now, this will grow over time, but this is curated by Giants. They're not going to put just anything on this mod hub. Now, what does that mean for those of us who run the PC? Well, for those of us that run the PC, nothing really changes because we have access to all of the websites that are going to create mods for Farming Simulator 17, and we're able to add and remove mods as we want over time. Now, where does this fall down? In my opinion, this falls down because Giants didn't integrate with the Steam Workshop. If they'd integrated with the Steam Workshop, then it would have opened up much better modding support, and it would have been better, I think, for the modding community, because then the modding community could better prevent the constant stealing of mods. Okay, so I like this. It's a good first step. I would encourage Giants to please, please, please consider integrating with the Steam Workshop, because I think that it really would take this integration to the next step and allow those of us in the PC community to better manage our mods. So that's mods. Good things there. Let's talk about the game. Let's actually go into a game, one of mine, and check it out. So you can see I'm in here. Let's actually start a new game really quick. I want to show you something that I think is very important. So I'm going to start the game. Usuals, easy, medium, hard. Just choose that. So the important thing is we get two maps. We have Goldcrest Valley, and we have Sosnovka. So you can have United States or Russia. Either one. They're both really good maps. I've toyed around with both of them. There's nothing really spectacular about them. I think the modding community is going to come in and really build some beautiful maps, again, because there's so much power in this game, but they're good starting maps. So there's nothing really wrong with that. We're not going to actually start this. But here's where I really like what Giants has done here. You no longer are forced into the default male character. You can also have a female character. Now, some of you might say, who cares? Well, I care. I think it's great because female gamers are a huge audience, and many female gamers would like to play female characters. I'm a male gamer, and I like to play female characters. My philosophy is very simple. If I'm going to look at the character for several hours, tens, hundreds of hours, probably want it to be a female character. I'm just saying that's my personal preference. Any of you that follow me know that all my characters, when I can select it, are female, and I like this addition to the game, being able to choose the gender of your character. Now, the next thing is part of the new mods and DLC. You can immediately choose here at the start of the map, and also again when you load into a map that you're playing, you can select your mods and DLC. I think this is great because you can now dynamically choose the mods instead of pulling them in and out of your mods folder all the time, which is something that I've always had to do. So I really like this addition. Now let me go into my game that I've been running for a while, and we'll check out the actual game. All right, we have just loaded into the game now. I will tell you, I've played this game for I don't know how long. You do start with a pickup truck that's usually parked right here. I sold it because I needed money for the farm because, as you all know, I don't know how to manage money for diddly. All right, so basically, other than that, everything you see here is starting. Very interesting change from Farm Sim, well, all Farm Sims. Oh, I bought that. I bought this thing. Very interesting change from all previous Farm Sims. You no longer have a static pile where you buy seeds and fertilizer from. Instead, you have these things here. So over here, I have fertilizer. I can't pick it up. It's too heavy. And over here, I have seeds. And I have whatever that is. And these are consumables. So anybody who's played, I don't know, World of Warcraft or whatever, these are your consumables. When you run out, you then have to buy them in the shop, transport them to your farm to fill your seeders. There's no more, I'm going to just pull up next to the big stack of seeds. I need to go and purchase that stack of seeds. So that's a big, important change to know right off the bat. It's a good thing to know. Let's talk about a couple other things. Let's go into the escape menu. Let's talk about the settings in the escape menu. You get quite a range of settings here within the escape menu. Very important things. You can have the help window on or off. We all know that's F1. Help icons, I can turn those off, which is nice. I can turn on colorblind mode. This is huge. This opens the game up for a bunch of people who are colorblind. They can now enjoy Farming Simulator. We have our monies, our measuring units, our zone markers, this around interactive zones. So this is really interesting in that when you go to a store or to a drop point, you can either have the zone markers or you can turn them off to make it a little bit more difficult for you. You can have a radio, which obviously we can't turn on because we're recording this for YouTube. I know. You can choose your radio range, your reset vehicle camera. This is helpful to have if you always look backwards and then suddenly get out of the vehicle and get back in. You're looking backwards again. It's up to you. Dynamic camera will try to stay horizontal to the world, which is helpful. If it makes it motion sick, you can turn it off or vice versa. We can switch to trains. Yes, there are trains. We'll switch to trains later. And then, of course, your volumes. We have more settings. You can name your save game. Finally, you can name your save game so you're not going, what game am I running in save game slot 12? Instead, you can name your save game, timescale, traffic, dirt, automatic engine start, stop and go braking. Yep, that's stuff you can turn on and off. You can default your fuel usage or you can make it low. Helper, you can control your helper refill right here within the game. You don't need a mod for that anymore. That's pretty cool. Plant growth, whatever it is, plant weather, yes. Periodic plowing required. What does that mean? Fertilizer states 3. What does that mean? Haha. A very important change to Farm Sim 17. We'll get to those in just a moment. In-game help. Whoop-de-doo. We'll get to that. Here is the map of the American map. A map of the American map. Yes. So we are here, and this is our little farm. We own these 3 plots of land. The pigs are up here. The cows are all the way down here. I hate that. Honestly, this should be closer to my farm, but whatever. Biogas plant, agribusiness, sawmill, Maplefield Mill. There's Ridge Acres, bakery, spinnery, farm, and grain. So all spread out over the map. Usual fill, composition, and fruit types. All right. And then we've got our vehicles that we can scroll through and then jump to or reset as we need to. And here's all the different ways to deal with it. Now, one thing I'll tell you, the icons drove me insane to start with because they're not really universal. The very important thing is, if you have the Steam game, you're going to want to go navigate into the folder and find the help file of the language you speak, and it will tell you what these various filters do, and it'll tell you what all the different icons mean. You'll notice they added some things. I already named one of them. They added some things. We've now got sunflowers. We've now got soybeans. We've got oilseed radish, and we also have pigs. These are several things that were added constantly by modders. Giants finally got the message and added it to the game, which is a nice addition, I think. Prices, it's much more dynamic than it was previously. You get a lot more fluctuation and movement in your prices. And you really do have to watch what you're doing. It no longer seems that the same place is always the best place to sell. So it used to be you'd always know, oh, I can always sell my canola for the best price at place X and my wheat for the best price at place Y. That no longer seems to be the case, especially in a hard game, which is what I've got here. It seems to be much more open to fluctuation. And looking at Denton Bakery and the Goldcrest Pacific Grain and the cost for soybeans here, or the price for soybeans, they're very close to each other, and they actually are fluctuating. The Denton Bakery is up. Look at that. It just went up again. Whereas Goldcrest seems to be level. So you do actually have to watch your prices. They are actually fluctuating at a much more realistic rate. Vehicle overview. Here's an important point about vehicles. They actually wear and tear over time. Now, what does that do? That increases your maintenance cost over time. It also reduces the value of your asset, just like you would have if you had a real farm. You have your depreciation costs, your asset time, and that as you have your asset that depreciates over time, but at the same time, your cost to maintain it is going to increase over time. At some point, they're going to meet well, their lines are going to cross. You're going to have an intersection of those 2 points where your value starts dropping and your cost is rising. At that point, you need to sell your asset and go buy something new. This forces you not to keep the same tractor for your entire game. I'm thinking like the Great Gamer, I believe, kept a tractor or two for his entire Farm Sim 2013 playthrough, he wouldn't have been able to do that with 17's new models, because at some point his costs on a daily basis for maintenance of that tractor would have been so high as to be financially unviable. So it's important now you have to actually think about these things. Your finance menu is so greatly improved. It is so much better than it was ever before. You now see how much did it cost me for my new livestock, how much sell, construction, sold buildings, field costs. You get running costs, leasing costs. Yes, you can lease your vehicles now. Upkeep, you get property maintenance income. But look at this. We broke out how much wood, bale, wool, milk. That all used to be in like the miscellaneous income. It's nice to finally see it broken out. We're also breaking out seed costs, fertilizer costs, sapling, water, biogas plant income, field job income, wage payment. So we're getting a very nice breakdown of everything we are spending money on. Animals are much more complex. They added some functionality that came out of mods previously. So we've got the sheep here. The sheep are pretty much the same. You give them grass, but you also need to give them water. Water is important now. You do actually have to give your animals water. And notice there's a cleanliness percentage. Apparently your animals are pigs. Not just the pigs, but all the animals are pigs. They'll actually make a mess around their feed trough, and you have to go in and clean up the mess. So you need a front loader or a telehandler to clean up the animal's mess. Now, the nice thing is you can actually scoop up the food that they've spilled and dump it back into their feed trough, so you do save some of that food. But you need to keep the cleanliness. You need to keep them pretty clean in order for them to produce the best. And if you don't keep them clean, they don't produce. Statistics are still statistics. And we're back to this. All right. So let's talk a little bit about plowing, seeding, fertilizing. Where in the world is my tractor? Oh, there it is. Actually, you know what? Before we do that, let's talk about what we can buy. All right. So very important thing here. You remember in all previous games, there was the shop, there was the brands, and then there were mods. Okay. So we go this way, brands. Wait, there's no mods, but I've got mods in this game. Yeah. So if I were to go into, where do I have some mods? Plows. All right. So I've got my set of plows, my normal plows, and then, oh, look, there's my mod. So instead of having to go to the mod section, I just stay in the first section, and the mods are properly ordered within that first section. I just have to go to here, and I can buy my Converland AB85. That's really nice. We have a lot more things going on here. So tractors is a pretty good improvement in terms of we've added Zetor in here. We've got some older tractors. The 8340 is in here, which I actually have one of those, I think. Yes. See, according to the garage, see that means a worker, I think. I can't remember now. And then we've got, there's an older Agristar. Here's a 1455 XL. There we go. Now let me show you something about these. Now, let's say if I want to buy this 1455 XL, right? I can do some upgrades. No more do you have to figure out which one of these tractors has the front loader attachment. Instead, if it's got the configuration, I can say, I want to add the front loader. Notice it adds 800 euros or $800 to the price of my tractor. If I don't want standard wheels, I can go to wide tires. That adds $800 to the price of my tractor. So you can actually customize your tractor. If I go and choose the correct ones, here we go. So I can add a front loader attachment to this one. For an extra $10,000, I can put in a 160 instead of a 140. And then I can also do narrow tires. Narrow tires are important because I actually have a mod in here that, unless I'm running narrow tires, will destroy the crop. But it actually takes into account running narrow tires. Notice also I can lease here. It gives me my base cost, my operating per hour, my per day, and my initial cost. So initially I'm going to outlay $12,958. I'm going to have to go pick it up, and then it's going to charge me $5,800 per hour, plus an additional $1,200-ish a day to run this tractor. Important thought there. So I have a lot of tractors here. We've got JCB, which was a paid DLC in Farm Sim 15. We go all the way up to here with the Challenger MT900E. Big monster. And then, of course, I've got these mods. This was pre-purchase mods. The Field Viper and the Cow Edition, which is... That's really a lot of bull. Ha ha! Never mind. Okay, we've got the standard front loaders. There's our telehandler type device and standard things there. Trucks, we've got the Lizard Twin Star, which is really a freight liner. Same with this Lizard over here by the looks of it. Got Tatra, and we've got Man. So some stuff is licensed, but obviously the American style trucks are still Lizard. That's all right. They'll eventually get the license. Harvesters, we've got some extra harvesters. We've got the Rosselmarsh across and the Torum. There we go. So we've added a few of those. We've also got some Massey equipment in here, and then I've downloaded some fence. And we've got all of our various heads. That's nice. We've got our foragers. That's pretty much it, I think. Yep, that's a mod. All the mods you see, guys, I will cover in a separate show. So we've got a good number of pieces of equipment in here that we can play with. There's some new equipment, too. So when I get down here, we have weeders. Weeders. We'll get to weeders, but weeders are very important to some part of your game. I can't afford them, so I would have to lease one if I wanted one. We got plenty of standard bale equipment, chainsaws, our forestry equipment. We now have a mounted cutter here. They have redone, thank goodness, the chippers and shredders, so they're a little bit nicer to work with, less of a pain in the butt than they used to be. They have included, this is not a mod, they have included skid steers. JCB skid steer is included here, which is good, as well as the forestry equipment. So it's a nice way to start out. You can have your little skid steer. Animals. Okay, this is extremely important. Now, I did want to get to this. To get the animals to your farm, you need the trailer. You have to actually trailer the animals from the purchase location to your farm. That's important. Yeah. You actually have to do that. We have levelers, miscellaneous stuff. And we have a gold hopper, so we have a larger transporter along with the flagel, which is a nice addition. And we've got our pickups. We've got a pickup rodeo and a pickup TT. So these ones have all the various, you can put a 200 horsepower engine in here with, I don't know, different design tires. I don't know what all those designs are because it doesn't actually show it. That's one complaint I have, is I'd like to see the upgrades actually on screen before I buy them. What's design 8? I don't know, so why don't you show it to me? That would be a good thing, in my opinion. Weights, pallets. Here's where you buy your pallets. I can buy my seed bag. Cost me $900 for 1,000 liters of seed. Got to think about that. We got solid fertilizer, liquid fertilizer, pig food if you don't want to produce food for your pigs on your own, and then your saplings. You have to go buy these and bring them back to your farm or load your vehicle. We have belt systems, so all that conveyor belt mods have been rendered superfluous now because these belt up and over. So this one actually is a belt-to-belt transporter. So here I can load from the ground. I can put it onto another belt. I can take it to the Quantum to drop it onto the trailer. Yeah. Yeah, you can build a big conveyor belt system if you want. Placeables. Got lots of placeables in here, including some that really I don't know what the point is other than being decorative. I mean, it does say decorative, but still. We have all kinds of extras here. We're still producing $40 an hour on our various things. I mean, nothing has really changed much here, but that's all right. We do have some extras. We also have the vehicle workshop that allows you to customize my machine without a paid mechanic. To customize a machine, without this, means you have to pay, I think it's $1,000 or more just to do the customization. All right, no sales. So we have a huge amount of purchasables, which is wonderful. Let's get into talking about the changes they've made to the game itself. One, the graphics. You know what? They're looking better. I don't have any screen tearing, which is good. Now, I will say this much. There were some better mod graphics for Farm Sim 15 and even for 13. So I'm looking forward to them being improved. Now, you notice that I did have plow and fertilizer stages. So if I were actually to go back to my escape menu really quick and go back to the map, oops, you'll notice that everything needs plowing. Huh. Every 3 harvests, you must plow your field if you don't want to reduce your yield by 10%. Yeah, I'm taking a 10% hit here because I don't have a plow. Additionally, there's 3 stages of fertilization. There's the initial stage, and then there's the other 2 stages. What does this mean? It means you actually have to pay more attention. This happens to be a fertilizing seeding seeder, so my first stage is done. Then when the plants grow, at that first growth stage, I can go get a weeder and I can weed them. That counts as a fertilization. Then I have to fertilize them one more time before I harvest them to prevent a 30% decrease in the amount of yield. Now, I'm actually preserving 10% by doing this first fertilization scheme here. If I don't come back and do something about the plants all the way over there, I will suffer a 20% decrease in my yield. I'm already suffering 10% because I need to plow, so I could suffer up to a 40% decrease in the yield of my crops if I don't do all of these other tasks. That's great because it forces me to do things that otherwise were pretty useless. How many of you actually plowed consistently in Farming Simulator 15 or 13 or 11 or 9? Not many of us ever did, because it wasn't required. Same with the mobile games, by the way. It wasn't required on the mobile games either. So it's really nice that they've incorporated the need to plow into the game. It makes plows actually useful for something other than cutting new fields. Now, I've got a few problems with the game. The first is trees. Trees have made a terrible comeback, people. Let me just show you. It's just a quick little show you of the tutorial I videoed earlier. Yeah, that was something special, wasn't it? Now, let me talk about something else that annoys me. I need to turn the game up some here. All right, we're outside the tractor. The tractor is pretty loud, but let's drive. Now, the engine note is pretty loud, but can you hear how loud the tire sound is? It seems disproportionately loud to me. Yeah, it seems disproportionately loud. When you get in cab, then of course it muffles that sound, so it's not such a big deal. All right, let's leave this guy here. I also, by the way, don't need my drive control anymore for the whole starting because I actually have to use F1. I can use F1. You start the engine with enter. Yeah. Just a note that some of the keys have changed pretty dramatically. Unload is no longer Q, it's I. I did discover a little bug with the loading wagon where you can actually tip in place. Let me tab here to you'll work. You can tip in place, so the alt tip mod is no longer necessary. However, when you do it with the loading wagon, it's left control I. Oops. Whoopsie. When you use left control I and tip, the problem is the loading wagon keeps unloading even when it's empty. So you have to remember to stop it unloading. It should just not. When it's emptied, it should just stop unloading, in my opinion. The pigs are piggy. They are pigs. There's nothing I can really say about that. The tutorial is helpful in getting your head around what you require for pigs. Here is our pig facility over here. And you do need the water and all that. Here's where I've unloaded a very small amount of straw, and then there's the rest of the straw, so I can very easily get the straw from one place to another. I don't like that you can actually see underneath it, but that's minor. All right, what else do we have? Of course, everyone knows eventually I will get to the train. Yep, we've got trains. Let's start a train, shall we? All right, so what's the point of the train? Well, I can transport to the central transport hub there all of my grain. I can also transport logs. There's my log car right there. I can get inside too. And this allows me to transport large quantities of grain or logs from one point to another. Now, theoretically, of course, I could use the twin trains, which actually run on separate tracks. If I hit 9 here, you'll notice I'm on a track going this direction. If you look really carefully, there's another track going the opposite direction. I can transit between the two trains. If I press 9 again, by the way, the map goes away. I love that. So I can actually turn the map off if I want to. So I can come here, I can get grain and load it up in my train car. I'm just going to go sliding right through this section, but whatever. Oops. I could load up my train full of whatever I need and transit it to the location. That growth cycle is weird. I don't like it, but whatever. Again, I'm running a solid 60 frames per second. I'm driving the train at 82 kilometers an hour through town, and I'm getting a solid 60 frames a second, and I adore that. There we go. We're going to leave that train to just kind of go along on its own. What do I think? I think it's a great platform. The bugs are very minor. The tree bug is hilarious, honestly. If you cut at it perfectly level, it doesn't do that, but you have to be perfect. And when you run it over, you basically have to ram it as fast as you can so that you get the thing to go horizontal. Otherwise, it goes straight into the ground. That's annoying. That should be fixed. The bug with the unloading of the loading wagons, that's a simple bug. It should be fixed. The sound of the tires, I think, should be reduced, but you might say it's fine. Overall, we're talking about a game that has added a bunch of stuff that we would normally add via mods. A good mod support, great options, a lot more equipment to buy, and a much more dynamic economy. My goodness, after how many years, I think they finally have started to understand what we as the game players really want. Are there things they could add that would make it better? Yes, there always are. But I think we have a stable start that we can build from. Adding stuff like the Steam Workshop, fixing the bugs, just small enhancements here and there, I think would go a long ways. Now, some of you, by the way, did notice I do have a hand. Yes, you have hands. They're pretty pointless, honestly, at this point. Yay, I can pick up something. I can throw it. That's great, but what am I doing with it? Yes, you can use this to pick up sticks. But other than that, it's pretty useless, honestly. But you know what? We finally have a farm sim game that's actually pretty darn good. Is it worth $35 for the Steam edition? I don't know how much the PS4 and Xbox One are. Probably way more than that, but we're paying $35 for the Steam edition. Yes. Yes, it is. If you like farming, this is the best farming simulator that Giants has produced. There you go. I've been DerTebbers. This has been your quick look, okay, 30-minute look, at Farm Sim 17. Yes, I will be doing some play of Farm Sim 17 on the channel at some point in time. Yes, I will be doing mod spotlights. I'm going to wait a little bit on the play, maybe on the mod spot. I don't know. I'm going to wait on something. Or maybe not. I don't know. Hopefully you've enjoyed this quick look. It is the best Farm Sim game that we've gotten from Giants. It puts to shame all of the other farming games out there that I've looked at. I do have Farm Expert 2017 that I need to look at. I don't have high hopes for it, honestly, unfortunately. And then there's another farming game, Professional Farmer 2017, that I need to look at as well. I don't have high hopes for that either. Both of those look like they're using the same engine they used in 2016. I do like that Giants has taken an every 2-year approach to this. Hopefully, by doing it this way, our next game in 2019 will show the efforts of 2 years more of work. So I like this idea. I like what Giants is doing. I like this game. I think it's worth you looking at if you are a farming simulator person. If you are not, well, I don't know why you watched this. Till next time, I'm DerTebbers here on the farm in Farm Sim 17. Take care, everybody.